Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wa mursaleen, nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una. Allahumma zidna 'ilman innaka anta 'alimul hakim. Allahumma ij'al hadhihi al-muhadara hujjatan lana la hujjatan 'alayna ya rabbil alamin. Amma ba'd. This is our 8th class. Kitab al-Siyam. We finished the book of fasting, and we're just going to go into a small portion of Kitab of the book of Zakat, specifically dealing with Zakat al-Fitr. Zakat al-Fitr. Once we finish this section, our next class will be Salatul Eid. How is the Salatul Eid performed, so on and so forth. And then, inshallah ta'ala, during the month of Ramadan, it was requested that we actually go through this again. But in that sense, we're going to go through Umdat al-Ahkam. It's a book of hadith from Bukhari and Muslim dealing with the same topics. Except for this way, we'll just attack it through Umdat al-Ahkam. At any event, Babu Zakat al-Fitr. Zakat al-Fitr. What is Zakat al-Fitr? Before we get started, does anyone know what Zakat al-Fitr is? What is it? Have you ever heard of Zakat al-Fitr? Huh? What is it? Zakat that's giving at the end of Ramadan. So the word zakat, does anyone know what the word zakat means anyway? What does it mean, zakat? Huh? It's from the word nama, which means to grow. It means to grow. So it's used here, zakatul fitri. We have zakatul mal, and then we have zakatul fitr. Zakatul mal is a zakat that is paid based on something that is of value of yours. So for example, if you have gold, silver, perhaps you'll pay zakat on it. If you have money that reaches balagh nisab, it reaches the minimum, you have to pay zakat on it. If you have a certain amount of animals that you have a farm, so on and so forth, you pay zakat on it. If you have urud al-tijara, let's say for example, you sell clothes or you sell houses or so on and so forth, you have to pay zakat on that. However, this class today is not about that type of zakat. Rather, the class today, because that other type of zakat is a whole lecture series. Today, inshallah, we'll just be speaking about Zakatul Fitri. Zakatul Fitri is the type of zakat that is paid, they say Zakatul Badin, is paid on the body. And what that means is a person will have to pay food at the end of the year, at the end of Ramadan. So inshallah ta'ala, we're going to be discussing what is Zakat al-Fitr, who is obliged to pay it, and so on and so forth. Any questions? So we're coming from the book that we've been coming from, Zad al-Mustaqni', the Abu Najah Musa al-Hajjawi, rahimahullahu ta'ala. And he starts off by saying, Tajibu ala qala musannif rahimahullahu ta'ala, Tajibu ala kulli musliman فضل له يوم العيد وليلته صاعا عن قوته أو قوت عياله وهوائجه الأصلية. طيب. The Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that Zakat al-Fitr is wajib. What does wajib mean? Huh? Wajib means that it is obligatory. So it is obligatory ala kulli musliman, on every Muslim, faddala lahu yawm al-Eid. Faddala, this word here means that which is extra. Extra from food that they may have on the day of the Eid, wa laylatahu, in the night of the Eid. Yani the night comes before the day. We're clear about that, the night being before the day. So it says, فَضَّلَ لَهُ يَوْمَ الْعِيدِ وَلَيْلَتَهُ صَاعًا عَنْ قُوتِهِ وَقُوتِ عِيَالِهِ وَأَوَائِجِهِ. In other words, a person does not pay Zakatul Fitr unless So from the conditions of paying Zakat al-Fitr is that that Muslim, must have that which will suffice them and their family and their needs. Anything beyond that, they will pay zakat on it. In other words, a zakat here is talking about food. As-sa'a an kutihi. As-sa'a, ikhwan, I brought this in today. This here is a mud an-nabawi. A mud an-nabawi. What is a mud? If you recall, previously we mentioned 2 hand scoops is equal to a mud, right? All right, here, this is one of these here is 2 handfuls of the Prophet ﷺ. This has an ijazah back to Zayd ibn Thabit, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. We got this from a Sheikh Yahya al-Mudarris in Mecca. He's one of the mashayikh in the Haram. And he gave out ijazahs to some of the students that would go to him trying to get an ijazah with the mud. So this mud here is the equivalent of the hands of the Prophet ﷺ when he put both of his hands together. So this here, a sa'a in measurement is 4 hands. In other words, you fill this up 4 times, it's equal to 1 sa'a. That would be the amount that a person will have to pay in zakat. Living in a place like Mecca, and other than that, if you're able to get a measurement like this, it would be nice to use this to measure out for your zakat. Say if you have a family, you say, okay, you sit your family down with your kids and you scoop and you let them see how the zakat is broken up that way. Some people, they may use rice, for example. And some of the ulama that actually measure rice, they say rice, for example, is 2.5 to 3 kilograms, if you will, if you're talking about rice. But this is not for everything. Rather, a sa'a here measures volume and not weight. Volume here means the capacity that can fill in a particular space, not weight. So in other words, we can have cotton balls, and it'll fill this thing up with cotton balls, but essentially has no weight. Or we can fill it up with water, and it's going to be a big difference, but the measurement is the same in terms of volume. Is that clear? Right. So the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that which is extra that a person has, they must pay zakat on it. وَلَا يَمْنَعُهَا الدَّيْنِ. If a person has a debt, we're talking about zakatul fitr, not zakatul mal. If a person has a debt and they must pay money, in order to spend that money that they owe someone else, they will have to seek, or if they wanted to pay zakat, say for example, their money sat for a whole year, and they have to pay zakat on that wealth. In order to pay zakat on that wealth, they must first seek permission from the one they owe money to. We're not talking, now that's for zakatul mal. Zakatul mal deals with wealth. Here we're talking about zakatul fitr. Zakatul fitr, you do not have to seek permission from the person you owe money to for zakatul fitr, not zakatul mal. Zakatul mal is dealing with wealth. Zakatul fitr is dealing with food. Wadah? Tayyib. It says, illa bi talabihi. The only way, if you owe a debt to someone and you don't have to pay zakatul fitr, is if they request that from you. Illa bi talabihi. What does that look like? Let's say, for example, it's time to pay zakatul fitr. You have just enough for yourself, your whole family, to pay zakatul fitr. A brother comes to you and says, hey, if you're going to pay that, you need to give me my money. In this case, you stop that and you give that person their money in terms of food or what have you. Whereas, in zakatul mal, zakat for wealth, you have to seek permission from them first before you can actually pay that zakat. Is that clear? And inshallah ta'ala, perhaps we can cover zakat, the other zakat, later. So he says, فَيُخْرِجُ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ. The first thing is, if a person is paying zakat, the first person they yukhrij or spend that zakat on for zakatul fitr is upon themselves first. So say, for example, it's you, your wife, your kids. Say you have 3 kids. Altogether is 5 people. You will spend zakat first on yourself. Ikhraj an nafsihi. So you will pay that zakat, those 4 or 1 sa'a, which is 4 scoops of this, of something. We'll talk about that later, what those things are for yourself. وَعَنْ مُسْلِمٍ يَمُونُهُ. So you spend on yourself, and for every Muslim you are responsible for. So what does that mean? Let's say you are a father. You, your wife are Muslim. And you say, for example, may Allah protect you from that, but if you have a child that's not Muslim and you're responsible for them still, then you will not pay zakat on that child that is not Muslim. But the other children that are Muslim, you are responsible for paying zakat on them. An Muslimin yamunuhu walau shahr Ramadan. So say, for example, there is a Muslim that you are responsible for right now. That Muslim you are responsible for, let's assume you are only responsible for that Muslim only during the month of Ramadan. What does that mean? Let's say, for example, a brother, he gets married in a month. Well, no, let's say, for example, he's taking care of someone. He's taking care of a child. Maybe his nephew. It's okay, I need you to take care of his nephew. So his nephew comes, moves in the house with him, and he spends on him for that month of Ramadan. Now he is responsible for paying zakat on him as well. Is that clear? Or no? طيب. So it says, وَلَوْ شَهْرَ Ramadan, even if it's in the month of Ramadan only. فَإِنْ عَجَزَ عَنِ الْبَعْضِ بَدَأَ بِنَفْسِهِ فَإِمْرَأَتُهُ أو فَإِمْرَأَتِهِ. طيب. So here the next issue is, let's say, for example, that brother, he only has a certain amount. He has 3 children, he has his wife, he has, other people he is responsible for. He doesn't have enough to cover everyone. So who does he pay zakat on first? It says, the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he says, Bada abi nafsihi. First he starts off with himself. فَإِمْرَأَتِهِ. And after himself, his wife. فَرَقِيكِهِ. And here they talk about slaves. Free slaves or what have you, but that doesn't concern us now. Then it says, فَأُمِّهِ. Then he pays for his mother. فَأَبِيهِ. And then his father. And after that, فَوَلَدِهِ. And then his child, فَأَقْرَبُ فِي الْمِرَاثِ. Then the closest one to him in terms of inheritance. Now, the ulama of al-Islam, when they mention this tartib, or this order here, they call this a tartib al-ijtihadi. Tartib al-ijtihadi. And what that means is, this order here is not absolute. In other words, there's no text that say it must be in this exact order. Rather, it can be in this order or other than that. It can be in this order or other than that. And so the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he says, وَالْعَبْدُ بَيْنَ شُرَكَاءَ عَلَيْهِمْ سَاعَةً. Let's say, for example, as we mentioned before in one of the classes about a slave in Islam. Before we get into that, how does a person become a slave in Islam? Through war. It was through war in the past. They would have slaves in war. It would be like a prisoner of war. Okay? In that case, they would have to pay zakat for that person as well. So if 2 people owned a slave, then they both would have to split. They would have to split the sa'a, that which they would have had to pay. وَيُسْتَحَبُّ عَنِ الْجَنِينِ. If a person is married and their spouse is pregnant, do you have to pay zakat on that pregnancy, the child that's in the womb? Yes or no? This was the action, is sunnah to do, is recommended based on the action of Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, wherein he did that. But it's not wajib. It is not wajib for a person to pay zakat al-fitr on a child. And likewise, وَلَا تَجِبُ لِنَاشِزٍ. And it's not wajib to pay zakat on a wife that is sinful. If a person has a wife, if a brother has a wife that is sinful, and she doesn't obey Allah, and she doesn't listen to him, then he does not have to pay zakat for her. Rather, there is no nafaqah. He doesn't even have to spend nafaqah for her if she is disobedient to Allah Jalla wa Ala. طيب. And the next thing the Shaykh mentions, rahimahullah ta'ala, وَمَنْ لَزِمَتْ غَيْرَهُ فِطْرَتُهُ فَأَخْرَجَ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ بِغَيْرِ إِذْنِهِ أَجْزَأَتْ. And so say, for example, you are responsible for yourself. You have a spouse, you have children. And your wife, she says, you're getting the zakat together, and your wife says, I'll just pay for myself. And she pays for herself without your permission. Or your children, they say, you know what, I'm going to pay for myself without your permission. Does this suffice them, yes or no? According to the school of Imam Ahmed, this is sufficient. If they do this without your permission, it's sufficient for them to pay for themselves, this will suffice. وَتَجِبُ بِغُرُوبِ الشَّمْسِ. So when is it obligatory for a person to start paying the Zakat al-Fitr? When is it obligatory? So the Shaykh Rahimahullah, he says, وَتَجِبُ بِغُرُوبِ الشَّمْسِ لَيْلَةَ الْفِطْرِ. So let's say, for example, we know that tomorrow is the Eid. Right? As soon as it becomes Maghrib, we know the Eid starts at that night. So that means that night there will not be any what? There will not be any Tarawih. There will not be any night prayer. Rather, the Eid starts at that night. And once Maghrib comes in, that's when the Eid, or that's when Zakat al-Fitr becomes wajib. So any time to pay it between then and the Salat is recommended. فَمَنْ أَسْلَمَ بَعْدَهُ. So then, the scholars of Al-Islam, they get very specific, very daqiq when they explain these issues. As we mentioned, all of the people that they are responsible for, who the zakat has to be paid for. So then they say, فَمَنْ أَسْلَمَ بَعْدَهُ. Let's say, for example, a person accepts Islam on that night of the Eid after Maghrib, the night of the Eid. Does that person have to pay zakat? Yes or no? Yeah. La. That person doesn't have to pay zakat. Why? Because they weren't Muslim when it was obligatory during the month of Ramadan before that time. Oh, say for example, if a person owns something. Oh, tazawwaja. If a person gets married after Maghrib, on the night of the Eid, they get married. Does he have to pay zakat for his wife? No. It says, oh, wulida lahu lam talzimuhu. Or let's say, for example, during that night, his wife has a child. It's not obligatory for him to pay zakat on that child, because that child was born after or when the Eid first came in. When the Eid first came in. Is that clear? It says, فَقَبْلَهُ تَلْزِمُهُ. Let's say, for example, all of those things happen right before Maghrib. Let's say, for example, a person accepted Islam 20 minutes before Maghrib, they must also pay Zakat al-Fitr. Let's say, for example, a person gets married 20 minutes before Maghrib, they have to pay Zakat al-Fitr. Let's say, for example, a person has a child 20 minutes before Maghrib, that person also has to pay, that father has to pay Zakat al-Fitr on that child. It becomes obligatory. واضح؟ طيب. ويجوز إخراجها قبل العيد بيومين فقط. It is also permissible, as was related in the Sahih al-Bukhari, بإسناده عن ابن عمر, فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صدقة الفطر من رمضان, وقال في آخره كانوا يعطون قبل الفطر بيوم أو يومين. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, he has made Zakat al-Fitr or Sadaqat al-Fitri, paying the Fitr, Zakat al-Fitr, obligatory, and it says that it was done 1 or 2 days prior. It can be done 1 or 2 days prior to the Eid. Prior to the Eid, 1 or 2 days is permissible. Right. So then there are 4 different positions in paying Zakat al-Fitr. The first one is that a person can do it 1 or 2 days before the Eid. 1 or 2 days before the Eid. Yani, this is okay. La bats. وَيَوْمَ الْعِيدِ قَبْلَ الصَّلَاةِ أَفْضَلُ. The day of the Eid, before the Salat. Yani before Salatul Eid. This is why Salatul Eid should be delayed somewhat. It shouldn't be right away in the morning. It should be delayed somewhat. And we'll talk about that when we get there. يَوْمَ الْعِيدِ قَبْلَ الصَّلَاةِ أَفْضَلُ. It is better to pay Zakat al-Fitr after Salat al-Fajr on that day of the Eid. On the morning of the Eid, it's better to give it out after Salat al-Fajr, before what? Salat al-Eid. Before Salat al-Eid. That's the second one. The third one, وَتُقْرَأُ فِي بَاقِيهِ. It is hated to give out Zakat al-Fitr after Salatul Eid. If a person waits until they pray Salatul Eid and then tries to give out Zakat al-Fitr, it is hated, and some say it's not accepted. It is hated, and some say it's not accepted. وَيَقْضِيهَا بَعْدَ يَوْمِهِ آثِمًا. And if a person wants to pay Zakat al-Fitr after that day, yani the next day, some say it is haram, and that person is sinful. Some say it is haram, and that person is sinful. That person is sinful in delaying Zakat al-Fitr. The next issue is, what do a person have to pay in Zakat al-Fitr? What is it? This here has caused, there's a lot of differing among Ahlul Ilm, upon the scholars of Al-Islam, with regards to what is to be paid during Zakat al-Fitr. According to the school of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala, they say, وَيَجِبُ سَاعٌ مِّن بُرٍ. And there are 5 things that they say that a person must pay for Zakat al-Fitr. And if you do not have these 5 things, then they say Qut al-Balad, then the food of the people of that town. But in order to do that, they must say these 5 things must not be present. However, there's a lot of differing among Ahlul Ilm with regards to that. So at any event, according to the school of Imam Ahmed, they said the first thing a person should pay in Zakat al-Fitr is bur, wheat, or sha'ir, or barley, or daqiqihima, or sawiqihima, or flour of this wheat and barley, or fine flour, grind it up. Those are 2 things. The third thing, tamrin, is tamr. Now, dates are of different types. Tamr is also a nur min anwa'. There's a type of date that is not wet. Rather, it is maybe hard a little bit. It has some hardness to it. Oh, zabibin. Zabib. What is zabib? Does anyone know? Raisins. Right? Giving out raisins. Or aqid. Aqid is like leban. Like it's a type of yogurt, milk, but is I don't know what it is in English. Aqid. Perhaps somebody knows what aqid is, but it's a type of leban. A type of leban is a type of like yogurt, but it's not yogurt. It's something that we don't find here. Like cottage cheese, something similar to that. At any event, these are the 5 things that should be given for Zakat al-Fitr. However, he says, فَإِنْ عَدِمَ الْخَمْسَةَ. If you don't have these 5, أَجْزَأَ كُلُّ حَبٍّ وَثَمَرٍ يُقْتَاطُ. It says, if you don't have these 5 things, then any type of seed or produce or fruit, not produce, but anything that is produced, yuqta, that people eat, as long as it is not na'ibun, as long as it is not something that is, you say for example, a person gets some food and they give up bad food, na'ibun, there's something wrong with it, wala khubzun, and it can't be bread, وَيَجُوزُ أَنْ يُعْطِيَ الْجَمَاعَةَ مَا يَلْزَمَهُ وَاحِدَ وَعَكْسُهُ. And it is also permissible to give a whole group مَا يَلْزَمُ وَاحِدَ. Say for example, you give a whole group that which is sufficient for one person, you spread it among a group. Or instead of giving that for a whole group and you give it all to one person, it will all suffice all of them, either this or that. A person has the option of doing this or that. So when it comes to giving out Zakat al-Fitr, there is 2 things that the ulama use when it comes to measuring the type of food you give. They say it has to be al-kayl. Al-kayl means you can weigh it, and it's something that you can store away. So as long as whatever you give out, it fulfills those 2 conditions. It's weighable and it can be stored. So say for example, a person gives away rice. You can weigh rice and you can store it away for some time. Anything that can be weighed and stored. Those are the two things that are used with regards to Zakat al-Fitr. But the next issue is, now, here and in other places, there's another debate on whether or not a person can give money as opposed to giving out Zakat al-Fitr. So we're going to read some of the statements of the scholars of the past, historically about this issue, what they say about that. So first of all, before we get into that, are there any questions? Naam, tafadhal.
Remember when you was talking about the child, right?
The child?
Yeah. And you were saying that the child wasn't Muslim.
Right. One of the conditions of paying Zakat al-Fitr on someone is that they have to be Muslim. You cannot pay Zakat al-Fitr on a non-Muslim.
So how about the hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said would make that child that's under the age of puberty is that was like born in fitra.
It doesn't necessitate that child was under the age of puberty. It could be an adult child.
But suppose it wasn't.
If it wasn't an adult child and it was a child under the age of puberty, like 6 or 7, then you would decide their religion for them, wouldn't you? As a parent or as a person responsible, you say, okay, you're going to be Muslim. So we're going to go to the masjid and become Muslim. At that point, they don't have any choice. Sah? And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said the parents what? Yujawizanihu, yunasiranahu, yumajjisanahu. Yani, they will turn that child into whatever they want them to believe. So if a parent is going to either make that child a person that doesn't worship Allah, a Christian, a Jew, or a Muslim. That's what the parent's going to do.
Maybe I misunderstood because I was thinking in terms of the child just being in your care. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So, but it's not a child that you're responsible for? Or is it a child that you're responsible for? If it's a child, listen, say for example, it's a nephew of yours. The parents are Christian. And they follow Christianity. And they say, hey, can you watch them for the month? But you know that child is following the deen of their parents. So you see how that works? But if it's a child that's in your care, you're responsible for it, you're going to determine what they believe. And then when they get old, they're going to decide for themselves. But you're going to be the one responsible for introducing whatever they're going to believe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You sure, Shay?
Yeah.
And Allah knows best. Allah Ta'ala. It says, اختلف أهل العلم سلفا وخلفا. So the scholars of the past, they differ from the Salaf and the Khalif. The Salaf are the earlier generation of the scholars, and the Khalif are the modern ulama. في حكم إخراج القيمة في زكاة الفطر على قولين المشهورين. So the ulama, the scholars of the past, they differ with regards to how to pay zakat al-fitr. And there are two positions on it that are known. There are two well-known positions. ذهب جمهور أهل العلم. So the majority of the scholars of أهل العلم that follow the school of Imam Malik, al-Malikiyya wa Shafi'iyya, and the school of Imam al-Shafi'i, and likewise the school of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, إلى أنه يلزمه إخراجها من قوت بلده, that it is obligatory or necessary for those people to pay that zakat al-fitr from the food of their people or from that country. ولا يجزئه إخراج القيمة, and it will not suffice them to pay with money. وَاسْتَدَلَّ الْجَمْهُورِ, and the majority, their adillah, their evidence to support this claim, بأن هذا هو الذي ورد في السنة النبوية. The first thing they say is this is what was mentioned in the sunnah of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. وَزَكَاةُ الْفِطْرِ مِنَ الْعِبَادَاتِ, and they say that zakat al-fitr is from worship. Zakat al-fitr is from worship. وَالْأَصْلُ فِي الْعِبَادَاتِ التَّوْقِيفِ, and the origin when it comes to worship is a tawqif. A tawqif means we stop. We don't do that form of worship until we have evidence to support it. طيب. فَيَجِبُ الْوُقُوفِ عند حدود النص, And they say that it is wajib, in this case, to stop where we find evidence to stop and do not go beyond that. والدراهم والدنانير كانت موجودة في عصر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ولم ينص عليها. And money, different types of currency, was present during the time of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and we do not find any of them doing this. We do not find any of them doing this. فَسُئِلَ Imam Ahmed. Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal was asked. Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal was asked about this. عن إعطاء الدراهم في صدقة الفطر. Imam Ahmed was asked about paying money for Zakat al-Fitr. فَقَالَ أَخَافُ أَنْ لَا يُجْزِئُ. He said, I fear that this will not suffice that person. خِلَافَ السُنَّةِ الرَّسُولِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is in opposition to the sunnah of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. وَقِيلَ لَهُ قَوْمٌ يَقُولُونَ عمر ibn Abd al-Aziz كَانَ يَأْخُذُ الْقِيمَةِ. And it was said to Imam Ahmed, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, he used to take the qima. And if anyone knows who Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, he was a great leader of the Muslims that was staunch about holding on to the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. They said he would pay with the qima. فقال Imam Ahmed. So Imam Ahmed said, يدعون قول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ويقولون قال فلان. He says, so you're going to leave the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and say, call a fulan? Yani, fulan said this? قال ابن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم زكاة الفطر من رمضان صاع من تمر أو صاع من شعير, to the end of the hadith. وأطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول. And you can find this athar of this whole transaction. You can find this in Al-Mughni. Al-Mughni is a book from Ibn Qudama, rahimahullahu ta'ala. That's one position. And the reason why we're mentioning these two positions is so that if you see the other position, a person can respect khilaf bayna salaf. The problem is we live in a society where we only hear one thing, and if it's not what you know, then that person is an innovator, and they're this and they're that, and you get yourself all up into something you know nothing about. And then when someone presents you the evidence, some of us, lil asaf, we become arrogant, and no, you don't want to hear something else, and they have evidence to support it. So you have to ask yourself, if these khilaf, if these differences of opinion took place over 1,000 years ago, and we don't find the Salaf saying this, that, and the next about the other people, who are you today in 2017 to open up your mouth and to speak about affairs you have zero knowledge of? So the next position, it says, وَذَهَبَ الْحَنَفِيَّةِ إِلَى جَوَازِ إِخْرَاجِ الْقِيمَةِ. And so the school of Imam Abi Hanifa, rahimahullah ta'ala, they hold the position that it is permissible to pay in qima. They hold the position that it's permissible to pay in qima, yani in wealth. وَهُوَ مَذْهَب. And who else holds this position from the Salaf? وَهُوَ مَذْهَب أَعْطَى from the Salaf. وَالْحَسَنَ الْبَصْرِ, which everyone probably heard of. وَالْعُمَرَ ibn Aziz. وَسُفْيَانَ الثَّوْرِ. وَهُوَ ظَاهِرٌ مِنْ مَذْهَب الْبُخَارِ. And it's also the position of Imam al-Bukhari. وَفِي الصَّحِيحِ قال Ibn Rushd, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وافق البخاري في هذه المسألة الحنفية مع كثرة مخالفته لهم لكن قاده إلى ذلك الدليل. So Imam Ibn Rushd, he said, Imam al-Bukhari, he agreed with Imam Abi Hanifa on this issue, even though he differs with him in many issues. However, what led Imam Bukhari to believe this is the dalil. وقال أبو إسحاق السبيعي وهو أحد أئمة التابعين. Abu Ishaq al-Subay'i, he's from the kibar of the tabi'in. He said, أدركتهم وهم يؤدون في الصدقة رمضان دراهم بقيمة الطعام. He said, I met the people during that time, and they would give the value, the monetary value for Zakat al-Fitr, and you can find this in the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shaybah. And the other one that I mentioned about Imam al-Bukhari taking that position, you can also find that in Fathul Bari. Fathul Bari is the explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari. And you can find that there as well. طيب واستدلوا بأمور. And some of the evidence that they use أنه لم يثبت عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا عن أحد من الصحابة نص في التحريم دفع القيمة. They use that we do not find any evidence, any statements of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام saying that it was impermissible to use the qima, to use the value of something. كما أن الأحاديث الواردة في النص على أصناف معينة من الطعام لا تفيد تحريم ما عداها. And they say that when we look at the ahadith, they just give us the types of food, but it doesn't prohibit anything other than that. They don't say that you can't do anything other than that. And likewise, we also have statements here. There are many statements about this. They say, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أغنوهم يعني المساكين في هذا اليوم والإغناء يتحقق بالقيمة. And so we also find in the Sunan al-Kubra, Nabi alayhi salatu salam, he said, enrich them on this day, meaning the poor. And they say al-igna, yani al-igna, enriching people, that doesn't take place except with al-qima, with monetary value. كما يتحقق بالطعام فالمقصود هنا إغناء الفقراء والمال أنفع لبعضهم من الطعام. And they say that here, enriching them, meaning the poor, will be wealth which will be more beneficial to them during this time. The wealth will be more beneficial to them. Now, the reason why we mention that is not because personally I'm more comfortable with paying the food for Zakat al-Fitr. And I would advise anyone to pay with the food for Zakat al-Fitr. However, if you see someone paying with money, do not go to them and say, brother, you're an innovator, you're this, you're that. Hassan al-Basri used to do it. Sufyan al-Thawri used to do it. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz used to do it. And if you don't know who these people are, go look them up. And then you look at them, and then look at yourself and what you put forth for Islam. And then once you realize that, you'll just fall back into your place and just zip your mouth shut. Fall back. Okay? At the end of the day, if you're not comfortable, this is not the position of the Jamhur. The majority of Ahlul Ilm, the majority of the scholars of Al-Islam, they say paying with Zakat al-Fitr with food is better. This is safer. Khuruj min al-khilaf awla, staying away from the differences of opinion is better. However, if you happen to see brothers or sisters, they say, oh, we're going to pay with money. Believe they have a salaf. And I haven't found, me personally, I haven't found anyone from the ulama that say that, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz fell in the bid'ah. Hassan al-Basri fell in the bid'ah. Sufyan al-Thawri fell in the bid'ah when it came to these issues of Zakat al-Fitr, paying with wealth. So then, who are you in 2017 to say that a person, if you say this brother here, if he wants to pay money for Zakat al-Fitr, this is an innovation. What necessitates from that statement is that people who preceded him as well also fell into innovation. Do you want to carry that on Yawm al-Qiyamah? I don't think so. I don't think so. These people lived and died upon Islam. They put their work in, and their history supports them. What everything they did throughout Islam is known and recorded. And you have to look in the mirror, what have you done for Islam? What have you done for the Muslims to even hold an opinion? But if you're more comfortable giving out food, then do that. But the purpose here is not to open up your mouth about people who don't choose to go that route. And the last part here, وَمَنْهُمْ أَهْلُ الزَّكَاةِ. Who are the people of Zakat? قال الله تعالى إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريدة من الله والله عليم حكيم. This is in Surah At-Tawbah, verse number 60. I'm not sure if we have enough time to get through all of it, but inshallah we'll try. Many of the ulama say the people that you give zakat to are the same for Zakat al-Mal. Ta'ifatun min Ahlul Ilm is a group from Ahlul Ilm. They hold the position that the people that you pay the zakat to is the same people that is mentioned in this ayah. The same people that are mentioned in the ayah. And quickly we'll run through who are these people that are deserving of zakat. There are 8 people, the 8 asnaf. The first group is al-fuqara. The fuqara, who are considered the fuqara or the poor. Jam'un faqir is the plural for the poor person. وهو من ليس لديه ما يسد حاجته وحاجة من يعوله ومن الطعام والشراب وملبس ومسكن. This person is the poorest person. This person does not have anything that they can use to suffice any of their needs, be it food, drink, clothing, shelter. It says for this person, when it comes to giving them zakat, they should be given zakat that will suffice them for the entire year. They should be given zakat that should suffice them for the entire year. That's the first group, the poorest. The next group, al-masakin, who are jam'u miskin. Miskin is also a poor person, but they're not as bad as the fuqara. Rather, they have half of everything that they need. And likewise, this person should be given food for, or whatever they need for the year. وَعَامِلُونَ عَلَيْهَا. عَامِلُونَ عَلَيْهَا. These people are the ones who go and collect the zakat. The people that collect the zakat. So say, for example, in this masjid, walillahil hamd, I don't know of any other masjid in the city that gathers the zakat al-fitr and passes it out throughout the whole city. Masjid al-Wasatiyah is something that this masjid here has been known for this for years due to the brother's hard work. Sheikh Akil here, he works very hard and diligent, the community here, with giving out zakat al-fitr and food. And this is a sunnah, and inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them for that, because it's hard work that they've been doing ever since I've been back from overseas. At any event, it is permissible for those people that do the work, driving and dropping off food and so on and so forth, for them to get something from zakat if they so choose. Even if it's zakatul mal, even if it's the wealth, they are entitled to a portion of it due to the labor that they put forth. The next one is mu'allafatu qulubihim. This group of people here. Now, Allah knows best, this may not be considered for zakat al-fitr, but it could be for zakat al-mal. Allah ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. وَهُوَ قَوْمٌ يُعْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ تَعْلِيفًا لِقُلُوبِهِم. This is a group of people that are given zakat for the purpose of making their hearts soft towards Islam. وَإِن كَانُوا كُفَّارًا, even if they are non-Muslims. In this case, say for example, as it was mentioned, if you have someone that is harming and oppressing the Muslims, if a Muslim were to give them zakat, yukaffa sharrahum, to remove their harm for the Muslims, then this would be sufficient in this case for zakat. Wal-riqab, this is a person that is free, that was a slave. Wal-gharimuna, al-gharim, this is a person, say for example, this brother here has a debt, and someone comes in and pays his debt for him, that would be a form of zakat. وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, these are people who are soldiers. Obviously in a government state, they go to war for the government, they fight in a war, soldiers or what have you, then they are also entitled to zakat if they're not receiving a salary. And likewise, Ibn Sabil are people that are stranded. Let's say for example, a brother or a sister is traveling and they lose all of their, they could be millionaires, they could be extremely wealthy, but they are in a location where they lost all of their information, so on and so forth. This is called Ibn Sabil. These are people on the pathway. These people are entitled to zakat. These people, even if they have money, but they're also entitled to zakat because they are what? They are Ibn Sabil. They are along the path and they don't have the things that they need to reach their destination. Alhamdulillah, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to stop with that. In our next class, inshallah, will be Salatul Eid. Salatul Eid. Are there any questions? MashaAllah. Everyone understands? Alhamdulillah. Right, so then our next class, inshallah ta'ala, we will finish off this series with Salatul Eid. Salatul Eid, what should be done, so on and so forth. And then once we finish that, our intention is to start Umdat al-Ahkam, Kitab al-Siyam, the book of fasting, and the book of Hadith during the month of Ramadan. I'm not sure what schedule we're going to have yet, but we will figure that out. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.